Okay, we're going to get started, everyone, for our workshop, which we're about 30 minutes behind, but we do have a quorum, although we don't need a quorum for a workshop. It's just important that the majority of the commission be here to participate. At this time, could we stand for the invocation given by Vice Mayor Mervin, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to go ahead and officially open our workshop of Tuesday, November 12, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. Thank you.
Let us pray. Father God, in the name of Jesus, God, we want to thank and praise you, God, for bringing us out one more time. Father God, we ask you, oh God, to be with us tonight, God, as we conduct business for our city. Touch, God, all of our residents, oh God, and our commission, our city staff, oh God. Lead us in the right direction. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mary Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett, Commissioner Hill, Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney,
Here.
City Clerk is present.
We had a roll call, Commissioner.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners, and thank the public for being here tonight to participate in our workshop on Tuesday, November 12, 2019. The purpose of this workshop has been called to discuss ordinance 2019-02 to see if there's any possible changes we would like to make, any amendments to it, or any further discussion. At our last meeting, we had begun that process, but we felt it was going to be a little too lengthy to try to get this done at a regular commission meeting. Therefore, it was suggested that we call a workshop, and that's what we have done, and that's what we're in the process of doing now. So how this actually going to work, any commissioners who have any concerns with any items on this particular ordinance can note and mention that. You will need a second for we will be able to further discuss it and see if we're going to make any changes to it. I'm going to just go
Mr. Mayor,
ahead.
if I may, just in case somebody was concerned about the time that I reported, I received a text message from the city manager stating that the meeting would begin at 5:30 versus 5 o'clock. So I just wanted that to be stated for the record. Thank you.
Okay, great. I'm going to start with Commissioner Vice Mayor Mervin and just work myself this way. Commissioner Mervin, on ordinance 2019-02, do you have any recommended changes, deletions, additions, or any comments you'd like to make at this time?
No, I don't, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Everett, do you have any concerns, any comments, any changes, any recommendation you would like to make at this time?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Boland, do you have any recommendation, any changes, any comments you'd like to make at this time?
Yes, sir, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, so on page, I numbered them 1 through 13, so we don't have to keep going back and forth. On page 2, paragraph 2, I would like to see it say, I would like to see C, that's already in our charter.
Make personal attacks on another member of the city commission?
No, ma'am, down to C, agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd like to see that taken out. In the next paragraph down, D, under duties and responsibilities, I'd like to see taken out a period after the word agenda, and with no further explanation or comment, taken out
I'm sorry, I don't follow you.
down in D at the bottom of the page.
Same page.
So where it says the mayor or presiding officer at any regular or special meeting of the city commission shall only introduce the agenda item by the agenda item, or is it that paragraph that you're referring to?
Yes,
So you want what taken out?
I'd like to have it taken out with no further explanation or comment. I'd like to have that taken out.
Just the area that says, and through the mayor, just the area that says with no further explanation or comment? Just those
ma'am.
words? Okay, but everything else would, your recommendations, everything else would stay the same?
Let's take care of that first page so we don't have to go back. We're gonna note that first item that you indicated was C on,
See on page 2?
make personal attacks on another member of the commission. Okay, so you're saying that you should be able to make a personal attack on the commission?
I'm sorry, what?
Mike said, I'm just trying to get
Use it for agenda.
clarification. You say you want that taken out. What this says is, members of the city commission shall not make personal attacks on another member.
Oh, no, I'm
agenda.
sorry, I said 2C.
To see?
Yeah,
Okay,
agenda.
okay,
and then 2D.
okay. So let's go back to 2C. Do Commissioner have a second on that? She want that?
Well, this is a workshop.
Okay.
Yes, so you'd have to do it in the regular meeting.
Okay, even if it's not a formal vote, we'll need to know, so this, for instance, if she's not gonna get a second on the item, she won't delete it, then when the regular meeting is no need to, although this is not official.
Right, you can
okay.
say, well, you can't have a formal vote, but what you can
Okay.
say is, I agree, I would disagree with that, I would agree with that, but you can't take a formal vote on it.
Okay, so maybe we'll just have to do it at our regular commission meeting, I understand. Okay, okay.
Okay. Page
But
3.
just so that I understand before you move on, Commissioner Boland.
Yes, ma'am.
So you would take agenda out completely, right?
Yes, ma'am.
There would be nothing that says C, period.
Right,
Okay. And you would remove D only to the extent that it says with no further explanation or comment?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
everything else would remain the same?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep, you can continue, Commissioner.
Okay. Then on page 3, paragraph 2, I'd like to have paragraph 2 taken out.
Oh, hold on. This is the one I ran out.
Is she with me, or?
Okay, I see O2 here. I don't
Paragraph
see-
2,
Yeah. And then
what is hard with,
any comments or questions by the attending public shall be directed to the mayor. Direct all comments and questions, all of that.
I'm glad I did, because I don't have it.
I'd like to have paragraph C taken out, or 6, I'm sorry, not C, 6 and 7.
So that was 2, and what was the other? It was 2, and then what was the?
2, 6, and 7. Should I continue? Okay. On page 4, I'd like to have paragraph 9 taken out. And in not, I guess it's 9E, I'm not sure.
No, it's just E.
I'd like to have it taken out, and shall end no later than 9 PM. Any items remaining on the agenda shall be placed under old business for the next commission agenda.
So just so that I'm clear through the mayor, do you want the entire paragraph E taken out or just the part that you just read?
Just the part that I just read.
And it starts with, again?
And shall end no later than 9 PM. Any items remaining on the agenda shall be placed under old business for the next commission agenda. I'd like to have F1. I'd like to have, unless a motion to limit debate is made and adopted, taken out of that paragraph. And a motion to limit debate shall take precedence over all motions except a motion to adjourn, a point of order, or a motion to table. I'd like to have number 2 completely taken out. And number 3, if a member of the city commission desires to direct questions to another member of the city commission or the public, the question shall be directed to the mayor, presiding officer, who in turn will recognize the individual who wishes to answer the specific question taken out. And down in G1, agenda items for- Okay, I don't know why I read that. Okay. Page 5, I'd like to have,
So just so that I'm clear, nothing in citizens' rights would come out, correct?
no, I wrote
Okay.
something there, but I don't know what I wrote, so. Okay. On page 5, 1, 2, and 3, except, oh, I'm sorry, 1, 2, and 4, leave 3. Okay.
You say
and
1,
2, and 4. Leave number 3. Under H, I'd like to have it change from 6:35 to 6:45 PM for the time cards, or for the question cards. And I'd like to take out, no questions shall be asked to the commissioners except through the presiding officer. And also, questions regarding day-to-day operations should be directed to the city manager for an answer at a later date. Under I, I'd like to have taken out, and may be forthwith by the presiding officer barred from further audience before the commission at the meeting from which was ejected. Under L, I'd like to have the word only taken out, and then is the intention of the city commission that, and then I would like to have it say, no items shall be added to the special meeting agenda other than those items for which the meeting was called.
That's what it says, so you want that taken out?
Yes, ma'am, but I want it
You know,
where it
that's,
says only, and is the intention of the city commission that, and just start it with no items.
I'm not sure I follow you. So are you saying that you do want the language, it is the intention of the city commission that no items be added to a special meeting agenda other than those items for which the meeting was called?
Yeah,
I think
just thought
I
it
think
made
that's
it
the
a little-
law, though.
I thought it just made it a little more succinct to just say no items shall be added. That's fine. On page 6, under number 3, unless, I'd like to have added unless due to illness or is excused by vote of the commission.
Page 6, under 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Which paragraph, A, B?
3, it just says 3 at the top. I don't know what paragraph it is.
Section 2.
What section is it?
Hold on, it's way back here somewhere. That's why I numbered them, so it's make it easier.
I'm on the page 6, it's just the number that I'm not sure
Okay.
what you're talking
And
about.
then at the top, it says board. Is that the one you have,
Okay,
page 6?
so
Okay.
it's,
Yeah.
okay, so starting with the word board,
No, after number 4, unless due to illness or is excused by vote of the commission. I'd like to have that added.
That's under N.
so are you on page 5 then?
She's on page.
I don't know.
But it's up here.
I've taken it apart and put it back together so many times.
Okay, it's under N, the letter N, the clerk is saying.
It says board committee members shall be removed from a board committee for missing 3 consecutive meetings. That page?
Okay, you want all of that removed?
No. I don't want anything in that paragraph deleted. I want to add unless due to illness or is excused by vote of the commission. And then section 2, paragraph 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, and A. That's all in our charter. I'd like to have that taken out. Section 3, that's all in our charter. I'd like to have that taken out.
No, this is not in your charter. This is an ordinance. It's not your charter. Just so you know.
What the mayor's paid, what we're paid,
Yeah, it's in an ordinance. It's in a city ordinance.
it's also in our charter. Yeah. Right here. It's under section 2-46.
Yeah, it's, there's no 2-46 in your charter. But anyway, you want it taken out, which is the point, right?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
got it.
Section 4 on page 7 is in our charter. I'd like that taken out.
Okay, and just for the record, through the mayor, the intent was to combine everything in one area that's under rules of procedure. Like you have already an ordinance section dealing with rules of procedure, but it's just not expansive at all. And so the intent here was to put everything so that there wouldn't be any conflict, to put it all in one space. So when you send it to MuniCode to be codified, it's not in different places in your code of ordinances. It will be in one place if you approve it. So that's just so you know the logic behind it, but.
But aren't we making changes to our charter?
No, you're not making changes to your charter. You can't make changes to your charter in this
Right.
way. You're making changes to your code of ordinances, which you can do with 2 readings. And so, and again, the intent
And
was to
that
ma-
doesn't change the charter, is that what
No,
you're saying?
No, it doesn't change your charter. Your charter doesn't conflict with anything here.
Yeah, it does. Under section 4, you're,
You may be thinking about, your charter is different from your code of ordinances. So the things that you had already, you kept those things, and I just put them in one area so that when it's codified, it can all run together.
right, but
You
under
wouldn't have to-
order of business, you've taken out commissioners.
Right, but that's your ordinances. This is a different, if you approve this, this would be taking the place of ordinances that you have in place that may be inconsistent. It's not your charter. Your charter is different
But our
from your-
charter says one thing and our ordinance says
No,
another?
No.
Yes,
You're
they
not-
would.
We're not making any changes to your charter.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
I know what the charter says, but I'm saying if we have an ordinance that says that the commissioners, there's no correspondence, comments, and concerns of any city commissioner on this section 4 order of business, then that's a change to the
No,
charter because you've
order-
taken it out.
Order of business is in your code of ordinances. For our purposes, it doesn't really matter. I guess you're just going through this and you're giving your changes to this out. And if the commission approves, I'll make sure it goes in the right place in your code of ordinances. We're not making any changes to your charter. So, but I'm listening to, I think you stopped on, your last change that I have was on section 2 on your page 6.
Okay. I'd like to take out section 4 on page 7. Section 5. And under section 7, I have a question. And it says that all other inquiries, requests for action or assistance, or reports including but not limited to complaints regarding by or about employees of the city, members of the city commission shall deal solely with the city manager. All follow-up to inquiries by members of the city commission shall be made to the city manager. What if it's about the city manager? Who do they go to?
You can't, this is basically dealing with the employees of the city manager. Like normally, there's no non-interference clauses, which is typical. And so what this does allow you to do is to have conversations that do not require, it's just basically like code enforcement issues, if you wanted to ask someone, or you can relay citizen complaints, something like that, not requiring research. But if it deals with specific issues that deals with department directors that are under control of the city manager, then all of those inquiries have to go to the city manager, which is customary.
Okay. I see what you're saying. You're saying that it's, somebody has a problem, a complaint about a city employee, then that complaint has to go to the city manager, and then we have to deal with the city manager if we have any questions about it. Is that correct?
Well, it's saying when requesting readily available information or documents, not requiring research or analysis, or relaying city complaints regarding code enforcement violations, members of the city commission may deal directly with department directors under the direction and supervision of the city manager. But for all other things that requests for action or assistance or reports, including but not limited to complaints regarding or about other employees of the city, then you have to deal solely with the city manager, and that would include complaints about the city manager. You need to deal with the city manager, not his employees, in other words, which is typical of the type of government that
Okay.
you have.
I gotcha. Okay, under section 8, shouldn't it say Florida statutes, chapter FS 119, whatever that is?
No, this is just, it's not intended to do that. I mean, I could actually cite sections throughout it if that were the point. This is just to give anybody picking this up to understand your rules and procedures and so forth.
Okay, section 9, I would like to have that taken out. It's already in the charter. Section 12, I'm confused because right now, don't we have first and second reading, and the public can comment at first and second reading on an ordinance?
Not on ordinances, no ma'am. there may be certain kind of things that if the state is giving a grant, and sometimes they require for certain type of grants to public hearings, or if it's something specific the county may require for a land development issue where the county is involved and it's a county road, 2 public hearings. But that's not state law. State law only requires 1 public hearing on second reading.
Yeah, I understand, but don't we normally? I mean,
No, you don't.
No, ma'am. It's always
I
second
could have
reading.
swore on the first reading of this ordinance, we had people comment.
You did, but they commented during the public comment section
During
of
the
the
public
agenda.
comments. Okay, that's where I was confused. Thank you.
That's why I think you're trying to put this in place, right?
Well, no, it's just, it's
Yeah,
actually just a law.
That's-
A lot of
I
this,
just caught on to
yeah,
that
a
one.
lot of the stuff
why
that's in
this is
here,
Trying to be, okay.
it's,
I get
it's
it.
how you operate. It's just
Right,
kind
I
of
got you.
making it
I got you.
clear.
I did get that part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some things that probably, but, yeah.
Okay, page 9, section 13. Pretty much all of that.
What part is not pretty much? Do you want the whole thing out?
Yes.
Okay.
And, and I don't have anything. Okay, 11, section 15. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know, there's 2 4s. Is one of them supposed to be a 5, or is it supposed to be like a 4A, or?
Oh, I see. So it will be 5. It will be 4 and then 5.
Okay.
And so did you want any of that out, or?
All of it?
Oh, all of it. So all of section 15, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
While you're looking over that, Commissioner, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to allow Commissioner Hill the same opportunity. Commissioner Hill, do you see anything in ordinance 2018-02 that you'd like changed, modified, or commented
I'm still
on?
looking through some stuff too, but right now,
Okay.
we go past it.
And while the commissioner's looking, again, what we're going to be doing in our regular commission meeting, the commissioner who's recommending any changes or modification will need a second and a majority vote. That way we'll move forward in making any changes that a commissioner recommend. Without a second, we'll move on.
I'm good.
Okay. Anything, Commissioner Hill?
Oh, no.
Okay. I'll entertain a quick comment of any other way that Commission may want to proceed with this. I think the best way is allow the Commissioner to note their recommendation for changes. If they don't get a second, we'll move on to the next item, and to their comments are done with, we'll ask each other commission to do the same. I entertain any recommendation before we get into our regular commission meeting that if you want to discuss how we're going to proceed with this. Okay, hearing none, we're going to adjourn this workshop. And we'll go into our special meeting in 2 minutes. Give you a break.
There's comment cards to the door, sir. Out in the lobby. There's comment cards.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. City Attorney, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk,
Yes, sir.
City Manager.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes?
Commissioner Everett,
Present.
Vice Mayor Mervyn.
Here.
I call this special meeting of the City of Pahokee City Commission Tuesday, November the 12th, 2019, to order at 6:09. May we please stand for the invocation given by Deacon Howard Osborne, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, creator of all things, Lord God, I'm asking you, Jesus, to bless this city commission to me tonight. Lord, have mercy upon us all. Lord, with you, God, everything is possible and can be done. Lord, bring peace, love, and happiness into this city. Lord, there's nothing too hard for you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I almost forgot to play it.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Boland,
Present?
Commissioner Everett,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
Present.
Vice Mayor Mervyn,
Present.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney,
Here.
City Clerk is present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners, and thank each of y'all for being here tonight to participate in our special meeting of Tuesday, November 12th, 2019. This special meeting of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee is being held as a public hearing to discuss and finalize, one, our final millage, fiscal year 2019-20. Our final budget, fiscal year 2019-20. At this time, I have our city clerk, city attorney, read resolutions into the minutes.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, adopting the final millage for the fiscal year commencing October 1, 2019 through September 30th, 2020, pursuant to Section 200.065 Florida statutes, computing the rollback rate, providing for adoption of representations, providing for instructions to the city manager, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, City Attorney. I now open this public hearing. Are there anyone in this audience that wish to comment on the final millage fiscal year 2019-2020? Hearing none, the public hearing will remain open until we complete both resolution, but at this time, hearing no comments from the public, I'm gonna basically close the public comment session on the resolution 2019-47. City Commission haven't had resolution 2019-47 properly read into the minutes by our city attorney. What's your pleasure?
Maybe I make a motion to accept the final millage fiscal year 2020, resolution 2019-47.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervyn and properly seconded by Commissioner Everett for the adoption of resolution 2019-47. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervyn,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes?
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2019-47 passes by unanimous decision. Now we'll move to final millage, fiscal year 2018-20, Resolution 2019-48, City Attorney.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, relating to finances, providing for the adoption and funding of the final municipal budget of the City of Pahokee, Florida, in the amount of $8,931,675 for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, providing for adoption of representations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk, City Attorney. I will now open the floor for a public hearing on the final budget fiscal year 2018-20, resolution 2018-48. Are there anyone wishing to comment on this particular resolution? Mr. Morrison.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In reference to the budget, could you tell me what was the final agreement with the Palm Beach County Sheriff Office, please? I was told it was a little under that $650,000. I didn't hear you.
I said 565.
565, 502 for the 2019-2020 year.
565?
502, yes.
502.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Anyone else wishing to make a public comment on ordinance 2018-48? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. City Commissioners, having had resolution 2019-48 properly read into our minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion that we accept resolution 2019-48.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of resolution 2019-48. Call for questions.
I have one. I thought under the city manager's budget that we were going to take out that additional $17,000, but I see it's still here. So can we take it out now, or how do we handle that?
I think at this time, if once his contract recommendation is presented, at that time, the commission will decide what percentage of raise, if any, that he would receive.
Yeah,
And then we
yeah, Mayor,
would
we
take
decided to leave
adjustments.
this in there because we didn't know what my new contract will dictate. So we left this in there until that contract is approved. And once that contract is approved, if there is a lesser amount, then this budget for this line item for city manager will be adjusted at that time on the amendment. That's why we left it in. You were requested during the budget workshops to put it actually in the budget until that contract is decided upon.
Yeah, just for clarification, this is no means that he's actually receiving this at this time. It's just a budget line item, and it will be removed or adjusted depending on the commission vote. Any additional questions? Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2019-48 passes by unanimous vote. That concludes our special meeting agenda.
Mayor, just for a point of reference, the reason why the budget came back in front of you tonight is because we had a formula for the entire budget that left out a certain percentage. And when our budget goes to the state, they review it. They sent back a letter saying we needed to just redo that part of the budget, well, the entire budget, because there was a formula that didn't calculate accurately. It was about a $3,000 difference, not a negative or a positive, so we had to go back and re-advertise it per state law. That's the only reason this budget's back in front of you tonight for additional approval. Very rare, but it does happen. Thank you.
Thank you. This special meeting is adjourned. We will reconvene for our regular commission meeting at 6:30. Just a reminder, you have a question? City Attorney?
Sir, we do have a shade meeting tonight, an
Right.
executive session at
Right.
6:30.
Well-
So the regular meeting, I think, is at 7, is that correct?
Okay.
Yes.
I was just thinking we would open our regular meeting at 6:30.
Oh, I see.
Adjourn it, not adjourn,
Recess.
recess it, and then, right, right. Okay, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started.
Agenda item for staff, but that's all that is. What's that?
City Attorney, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk,
Yes, sir.
City Manager,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
I call this City Commission of the City of Pahokee regular commission meeting of Tuesday, November the 12th, 2019, to order at 6:33. May we please stand for the invocation given by Deacon Carl Morrison, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray, please. Heavenly Father, we come this evening as a community. We come asking for guidance and direction. Heavenly Father, give us the ability to recognize each other as far as giving due respect. Heavenly Father, we ask for your guidance. If this community ever needed you, we truly need you now, Heavenly Father. We ask all these blessings and give thanks to Jesus' holy name. We pray. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Boland,
Present.
Commissioner Everett,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
Present?
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney,
Here.
City Clerk is present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, staff, and thank each of you for being here tonight to participate in our regular scheduled meeting of Tuesday, November the 12th, 2019. We're going to recess shortly and go into a closed-door executive session with our city attorney. But before we do that, I'll just have the city attorney kind of explain what we'll be doing and approximately how long that process may take.
This will be an executive session where all the city commissioners will be present and a court reporter and myself. It is the case of Okeechobee Land Company, Inc., which is the plaintiff versus the city of Pahokee, Florida, defendant.
At this time, I recess our regular scheduled meeting and we will return shortly. Okay, we're gonna get started. City Attorney, you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk,
Yes, sir.
City Manager,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hill.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna continue our regular scheduled meeting. I thank you for your patience. We rarely have to have a closed session meeting. Those minutes will be provided and available to the public once our case has been resolved. Again, thank you for your patience. We're gonna move to our continued agenda. The first item on here is the additions, deletions, and approval of the agenda items. City Commission, at this time, City Manager, do you have any additions to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. I was going to remove Employee of the Quarter. The staff was unable to make it tonight. I was going to hold it to the next meeting, but I'm going to leave it on just to make the announcement tonight, just to be in the proper order of the agenda itself. At this time, there's no additions, deletions at this time, Mayor, for tonight.
City Commission, the same. Are
Mayor
there any
Bev, I
additions?
have two add-ons. One with, what's her name? Latanya McNeil, and also Miss Angela Johnson from the Census. And Mayor, if it's okay with the commission, we can also move up the line of the month. So they'll have to be here so late.
So,
Yeah, they can.
All right, so what we'll do is move the census presentation.
We want to move Ms. Moore first, I'm saying Mick McNeil first,
So
and
we'll
then
do
the
that.
census, and then the, yes.
We'll do that right after the approval of the agenda. And your second add-on was?
Mrs. Angela Johnson from the Census 2020.
And Ms. Moore will be, what's her presentation is on?
Is the census.
Oh, both on the census.
She's
So,
the
no,
census, hers not the census, hers
Palm Beach State.
Palm Beach State
From
College.
Palm Beach State College.
Okay. So we'll have those two presentations immediately following our approval of the agenda.
And
Are
then
we
the line of
moving
the
the
month
line up?
also.
And we'll also remove the lawn of the month right after those presentations. So we got the three add-on would be in order after the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I would like under old business to add one voice for the community.
I think I mixed it with you.
Could I get a motion of the add-on? Like to entertain a motion for the add-on.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to offer a motion that we accept the additions to our agenda.
Second.
Second.
It is moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin for the addition to our agenda. Call for questions. Hearing none. Are you ready for roll? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The agenda is approved by unanimous vote with the add-ons. Okay, at this time, we'll have the two presentation, one from the State College, Ms. Moore,
Dr. McNeil.
Dr.
McNeil.
McNeil.
He was getting it down there.
Okay, I'm just sorry about that.
That's all right. Good evening to you, Mayor Bab, to our commissioners, city managers. Thank you for allowing me to come before you. This is a follow-up. I had the opportunity to meet with Mayor Bab, and at that time extended a verbal invitation for the commissioners to come to Palm Beach State College, and I wanted to levy a formal invitation. We have a lot of new initiatives. The building is certainly with a lot of infrastructure that's new and programs, and I would love an opportunity. I know you may have seen Palm Beach State College Belgrade campus, but it looks a little bit different now, so I wanted to extend an invitation. I also wanted to extend an invitation for our economic forum, which is this Thursday at the Dollar Hand Cultural Arts Center at 5:30. It is an opportunity to celebrate the Glades region and the many great things that are here. You have an invitation and a flyer before you. If you could kindly RSVP, and certainly in your respective areas, get the community members to come out and be a part of this as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. That was quick.
And now we'll have a presentation from the census.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
evening.
Let me thank you for allowing me to be here. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission. 2020 census is coming up very, very soon. April the 1st is 2020 census. Briefly, the census is more, much more than a population count of everybody in the nation. Depending on our count determines how much over $675 billion that will determine how much of that money will the city of Pahokee receive for funding. The last census was 2010. Only 60% of the people that live here responded back to census. That means 40% of the people that live here did not respond. So we need to do a better job, I think, to make sure everybody that live here understands what census mean for where we live. When everybody is counted, we get certain types of funding. We get funding for senior services programs. We get monies for WIC, SNAP, roads. It determines, do we need another school here in Pahokee? Do we need to allocate more funding for another school? Do we need a hospital? Everything depends on how many people live here. 2010 census, over 1 million kids was left off of the questionnaire from ages 5 and under. 5 and under. That means we didn't get the right funding for kindergarten readiness, early childhood education, free and reduced lunches. Money's got to come from somewhere, and we can't get it, or we can't get all of it when everybody is not properly counted. So, my question to you all, how do we make sure everybody where we live understands what's in it for me? How do we make sure everybody understands that everybody must be counted? It is so important that people understand when you don't count, we lose too much funding that we so desperately need. And when we have the right population, businesses began to look at our numbers to determine, should I invest in Pahokee? Always depending on numbers. Everything depends on numbers. So, how do we make sure people know that there is something called a Title 13? Census cannot give out your personal identifiable information. It's against the law. To give out my name with an address, that's called PII, personal identifiable information. It's against the law. We can't share it with the sheriff's office. We can't share it with children and families. We can't share it with landlords. It's against the law. $250,000 we will be fined to give out your personal identifiable information. It's against the law. But when everybody don't know it, then they have a problem, because I thought y'all was going to give out my information. We can't. It's against the law. All we need to know, how many people live here, how many kids. So in March, mid-March, everybody in the nation will get something called an invitation to respond back to census. And we're asking 95% of the people to please go online, fill out the form. How many people live in this house? The second way you can respond, there will be a number on that invitation. You can call the number, and we'll ask you the question, and you can give us the answer. Here's a third way. When you didn't respond either way, we'll just send you out a questionnaire, a paper questionnaire where you can fill out the form and send it in. Remember, when you do not respond or send back your information, it costs so much money. So how much of that $675 billion will we get? Will the numbers increase, or will the numbers come in less than 60%? So I'm asking the commission to please form something that we determined in 2010 was a best practice. Form something called a Complete Count Committee, a CCC. And it's a committee of people that live in this area to volunteer to make sure we strategize a plan. How do we make sure we educate everybody in the school system? How do we go to every apartment complex? How do we get this information to the Pahokee Housing Authority? Everybody needs to know this is going to cost us, and we don't have that much time. Where will we find the most of the people? Most people go to church, not everybody. And I thought of something earlier. If we can go to churches, from church to church, to ask people, would you vote for me? Would y'all vote for me? I'm running for office. Can we strategize a plan for our Complete Count Committee to begin to go church to church to tell people, not to tell them you got to respond, but tell them why you need to respond? That is so important. And I will ask the last thing is to think about giving the census a proclamation so that the people that live here will see that this is what we come together to do. We will support the 2020 census. We're going to make sure everybody understands just how important it is to be counted. It is our constitutional obligation once to be counted. Once, only once, but in the right place. If you live in Pahokee, you shouldn't be saying I live in West Palm Beach, because the money going to West Palm Beach. So when you live in Pahokee, we need to give out the right address that we live here, so we make sure the funding that we're supposed to get, we get it. Thank you so much for this time of sharing. Have a good evening. Are any questions?
Quick question. What about jobs? I hear there's jobs. Can you tell us about jobs with this
Yes.
census?
There will be, we will be hiring millions of people in the nation. So this is how it works. When people don't respond, when you do not respond, we have to hire so many people called a lister, or we call them enumerators, where they will get paid $17.50 an hour. You get paid once a week. When you use your vehicles, you will be paid 58 cents per mile. So when people don't respond back, we need everybody to go online that will. If you live in 33476, we need you to work 33476. Because when we go knocking on doors, when people know you, they just might answer the door. And normally when people don't know you, you know we don't really open our doors anymore. So we need everybody that's interested. I'm leaving a lot of flyers in the back with the census information on it, all about jobs, and some papers called Census 101, talking about everything you need to know in a nutshell what census means. So we're asking everybody, if you will, go online and fill out the application, but you got to be 18 years and older. But we need your help. Make sure we got our areas covered. So when people don't respond, someone asked me, well, Angela, how do I get y'all from not coming to my house? Respond back to census. Respond back to census so you don't see us coming to your house knocking on your door. Any other questions, anybody? Thanks again for allowing me to share the very necessary information. Have a good evening.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have to prove who you are to the census person taking information?
You don't have to prove who you are. You just need to put your name and address. What's your...
No picture ID, no social security?
No, just fill out the form. We never ask for Social Security, and something that I need to make sure everybody understand. How do you know that you're qualified to go on a form? How do I know if I'm one of the ones to be counted? It's easy. If you are breathing, you are supposed to go online to make sure you're counted. It's for citizens. It's for non-citizens. It's for all ethnicities. If you live here, if you was removed from Mississippi, Bahamas, New Orleans, and you're living here, you need to go on the form. Everybody need to be counted. And we want to make sure when I come back after census, I want to be able to give good news. I'm looking for good news because I know all of us need to begin to speak about how important census is for where we live. Okay? It's for documented people and undocumented. Remember what I said. We cannot share any personal, my name with my address. That's against the law. To share it with anybody, any agency, not even the President of the United States. It's against the law. All we need, we are a data agency, and all we want is data. How many people live there? So that we can make sure we plan your future for the next 10 years, depending on how many people live there. What is the need of the city of Pahokee? That's what helps us to understand who's here. Do I want to move here? Do I want to set up a business here? Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Morris.
If I'm walking down the street and there's a group of people here, do I have to physically go to the house or I can park it right there on the street?
When you're working the jobs, we're using a device, and we will use a device to let you know which houses, we don't get nobody off the street. We go to a house, a mobile home, we go to a dwelling. And all we're doing is encouraging you. Will you please fill out your form? Not so much to help me, but to help where you live. Let's do right by where we live. Hopefully, we don't have to hire that many people. That means we did a very good job at educating everybody. So hopefully, we can form this complete count committee so we can start talking about how to strategize, how to make sure we touch everybody, not just people that look like us, but we got to get in the community and make sure everybody understand. And we are apolitical. This is not political. We don't talk about nothing politics. All we need is everybody to be counted.
How about boats and RV people?
We go to boats, we go to the RV people, we go to circuses where people live.
Time limit, if they're only gonna be here a couple months, 3 months, 4 months?
You get to choose where you live. Everybody will get something at their RV. Everybody will get something at their address. It's up to you to respond back. It's up to you. Yes.
We have a lot of seasonal, transient, migrant workers. How are they counted?
The same way. It's up to the people. Well, how do the complete count committee or a group of people that's concerned about the count, how do we get together to strategize a plan to make sure people fill out their form and put the address from Pahokee on it? Because it's up to the people. They may decide to use this address. It's up to them. They may decide to use another address.
How can you get an accurate count if they're doing it more than once?
We have a way to make sure we only count people one time. We've been doing it since 1790. And this happens every 10 years. Not the first rodeo. Any other questions?
This, I thank you for the presentation. The census is very important. We want to invite you back again prior to the actual census count to give another presentation. This is live streaming, so this will be circulated, you know, quite a distance and reach a lot of folks. In addition to that, again, I thank you. While this is fresh on my mind, I would entertain a motion that we present or have a proclamation for the 2020 census count so we can continue to educate the public by the importance of this census.
Mayor, I'd make a motion that we was to direct the city attorney to do a proclamation on the 2020 census.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Bowden that we have our city attorney or our city clerk, whichever staff is appropriate, to do a proclamation for the census. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passed by the unanimous vote. Now we'll move to citizen comments, agenda items only. You must have a comment card completed. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any comment card pertaining to agenda items only?
Yes, sir. We have two. The first one is from Mr. Bobby Colvin.
Bobby Colvin, 3096 Bacon Point Road. My opening comments are intended to set the stage for my concerns about ordinance 2019-02 unless the suggested changes are made. If the suggested changes are made, these comments would not apply so much. In the last commission meeting on October 22, 2019, it was alleged that a commissioner perpetrated a rape on a 14-year-old girl in 2006. I saw a copy of the multi-page report last week, and it described the crime as well as the abundant evidence which is on file. It is unclear why the victim...
Ms. Colvin, you're out of order. I don't think that pertains to an agenda item.
It absolutely does, sir. I promise you, it goes right to the agenda.
Which agenda item are you referring to, sir?
2019-02.
And that has something to do with a rape?
I promise you it has something to do with it.
Okay, I'm gonna follow this real closely, but I don't see it. You can
You don't have to
continue.
see it yet. In my next paragraph, you will.
Okay.
I forgot where I left off, but I'll start at the next paragraph. In any case, if this young woman that would now be in her late 20s were to now press charges, how would ordinance 2019-02 affect the liability of our city? It obviously contains language that covers most of those on the dais and will pay legal expenses for many vaguely described situations. I personally feel that it would be wrong to make the city liable in any way for this or any other crime. I have spoken against this ordinance in the past couple of meetings, and I still classify it as evil and probably illegal. Apparently, some that sit on the dais are more concerned about covering their backs than to protect the citizens of Pahokee. Before I stop, I would like to make one comment that just happened this week. I got this off the table back there, inviting us to the Veterans Program. I still don't understand why it was done on Friday instead of on Veterans Day when many people are off and could attend. We got no word whatsoever about it. Maybe it was put somewhere, but I didn't get it. Thank you for your time.
The next one is from Mr. Sam McKinstry.
I defer my time to anyone that might need it.
Good evening, council. I had a chance to look at the ordinance.
What's your name?
And ordinance 2019.
State your name, sir, sorry.
Kareem Murray. The ordinance 2019-02. I had a chance to look at it. So it pretty much states that if anyone up here, any city employee gets in trouble outside of anything dealing with the city, I understand that the city has insurance, the city has means of taking care of any legal issues caused by any employee in the city. But why do me, as a taxpayer, because I own my own house and I pay taxes, why do I have to pay if any one of y'all get in trouble outside of a city problem?
I'm not sure where you're
If
reading
you,
that at.
if you read
It's
the
only-
ordinance, if you read, I'm pretty sure my mom made us read.
It's only conducting city
It
business.
says personal. Do you have the ordinance? Do you have the ordinance so I can read it? Because I'm pretty sure that I can read it. I won't copy it.
I can tell you now, if someone doing anything illegal in his personal business, they won't be covered.
That's not what the ordinance say, Mayor. 13.
Another week of that.
Okay, I'm looking for the number. So hold my tie again. Section 7, section 12, 13. Here we go. Whenever in the performance or in the connection with the performance of official duties in behalf of the city, an official has been involved or shall hereafter be involved in a dispute, proceeding, or litigation, either in representative or personal, not representative, personal capacity. I know how to comprehend, Your Honor, Mayor. With or without the city as a co-party in the matter, the city shall promptly indemnify said official. The city shall promptly preserve, protect, defend, aid, and assist said official, and exonerate, indemnify, and hold harmless said official from and against any and all expenses, liabilities, claims, demands, proceedings, damages, losses, charges, advances, disbursements, payments, expenses, costs, including reasonable counsel fees, awards, settlements, judgment, decrees, and mandates, paid, incurred by, or imposed upon said official in all disputes proceeding, trials, and what's supposed to be and appeals, trials and appeals by reason of said official being or having been a city official,
Point taken,
even through
sir.
he is no longer an official at the time the expenses incurred or the claims are made against him. The protection herein guaranteed shall exist during and after the term of office or employment for liabilities incurred during the term of office of employment. I think somebody need to rewrite this ordinance. I'm not paying nobody's legal fees.
Sir,
I take my
you-
tax money and pay my own.
Out of order, your time is up. We heard you.
But I said,
Mr. Mayor?
Its time is up when the bell rung. I'm gonna allow the city attorney
Sure.
just to expound on that.
Right, and
particular-
what it mean,
Sir, you're out of order. You had an opportunity to speak. You exceeded your 3 minutes and you're still talking. Sir, officer, I need to have him removed. This is a long meeting. We can't be here all night.
What this means, Mayor and Commissioners, is if anything in that person's, as an official, performance of official duties, it has to do with official duties, and so what he may be confusing it with is when a person is sued individually, and we can change the language to individually if that's confusing to him, that what that means is that a city official may be sued, and it would be the city. It would be the city, for instance, they would sue the city and they may sue an individual commissioner. And so that individual commissioner would be sued as an individual as opposed to, and there may be probably a lot of times when people are sued in their individual capacity, when it deals with an official city business, those things are often dismissed because it's not really allowable, but it does happen. And so what it's saying is that that person would be covered if that happens. And so to the extent that that could happen, that the person would be covered. So where it says personal, it's not intended to mean something that is not involving official business.
Thank you, ma'am. City Clerk, are there any additional comments from citizens pertaining to agenda items?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Joe, for agenda item or just general comments?
He has a general comment.
Yeah, it'll be nice on the agenda. Okay, thank you. Now we'll move to public service announcement. You also must have a public service card completed. City Clerk at this time, do you have any public service announcement card completed?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move to the approval of the minutes. We don't have any to approve at this time. No ordinances.
You skipped one of them off.
Okay. We moved up our lawn of the month, so we're gonna make that presentation at this time. I'll have our city manager kind of give us a little highlight of the winners of lawn of the month, and we'll come down and make the presentation to the commission.
Thank you, Mayor. Every month, we award a homeowner here in Pahokee the Lawn of the Month. It's been an award that we've been doing, I think, Mayor, about 3 years now to give back to all homeowners who are making an extended effort to ensure that their lawns are maintained and they're presentable and they're keeping with our standard of bringing some continued value or sustaining value here in the city of Pahokee. So this award is given every month, and there's a nice token that goes along with it because it's very difficult to maintain lawns here in the Glades because of the aggressive growth of grass, because of the mulch, but that may also works in our favor as well on how great these homes look in our community. So this is an award that we give every month to a deserving homeowner here in the city of Pahokee, Lawn of the Month.
Thank you. Commissioner John DeGallo. And we would ask that Jesse McWilliams come forward. And if you have your family with you, if they would mind, we would have them also. Your daughter saying no, huh? Ms. McWilliams, as mayor of the city of Pahokee, on behalf of the Pahokee City Commission, Vice Mayor Clara Mervin, Commissioner Benny Everett III, Commissioner Regina Boland, Commissioner Felicia Hill, along with our city manager and our entire city staff, it gives me great honor and great pleasure to present you with the Lawn of the Month. Not only the Lawn of the Month increase your home value, but increase all the property values around your property, and it give a contagious effect. A lot of folks are trying to win Lawn of the Month. Congratulations, look at the beautiful lawn. I know it took a lot of work and effort, even if you didn't physically do the work yourself. I know you did a little of it anyway, but it just takes effort, just coordinating everything and hiring the right person to do and make your lawn look as beautiful as it looks. I'm gonna have Commissioner Hill present the check and Commissioner Boland to present the certificate. And the only thing I ask as mayor, that you take some of this money and spend it in the city of Pahokee on local businesses.
It reads, Lawn of the Month. This certificate is awarded to Jesse M. McWilliams and Abner McWilliams, 310 Amaryllis Court, Pahokee, Florida, 33476. In recognition of beautifying the community, presented this 12th day of November 2019. Mayor Keith W. Babb Jr., Commissioner Regina Boland, Commissioner Felicia C. Hill, Vice Mayor Clara M. Mervin, Commissioner Benny L. Everett III, and Chandler F. Williamson, City Manager. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We tried very hard, so we really thank you. No, this is why you came. Right? Turn around. Come on. I gotta turn around. I want to go ahead and present this check to you. Please make sure you try to send it as much as you can here in the city of Pahokee. Okay? Please.
Again, congratulations to Ms. McWilliams and her family for having the Lawn of the Month. Thank you. Now we'll move and continue to move along our agenda. We don't have any ordinance. We do have 3 resolutions. Resolutions 2019-49. You saying something, City Manager?
No, sir.
Okay. City Attorney.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving the annual holiday parade and authorizing the mayor and city manager to apply for a parade permit from the Florida Department of Transportation, providing for adoption of representations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2019-49 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to offer a motion that we accept Resolution 2019-49 for our consideration.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of Resolution 2019-49. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill. Yes. Commissioner Boland.
I'm abstaining because I'm the executive director for the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay. Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passes by a unanimous 4-0 vote. Now we'll move to Resolution 2019-50. City Attorney.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee approving the donation of 3 properties described in Exhibit A to Habitat for Humanity of Palm Beach County, Inc., authorizing the city manager to execute the deeds required to donate the properties, providing for adoption of representations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2019-50 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I would like to offer a motion that we accept Resolution 2019-50 for our consideration tonight.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of Resolution 2019-50. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill. Yes. Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2019-50 passes by unanimous vote. Now we'll entertain Resolution 2019-51. City Attorney.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving the attached professional services contract for the provision of legal services between the City of Pahokee and Bernadette Norris Weeks, PA, attached to as Exhibit A, providing for an effective date.
Mayor Bab, make a motion to accept the Resolution 2019-51.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of Resolution 2019-51. Call for question.
I have a couple. On this contract for services, okay, under number 4.0, I thought we were advertising for 75,000. This totals 81,600.
No, there was never a price put on our bid when we went out for bid for this.
Okay. And then under 5.0, how do we calculate what this is going to cost us? These advanced costs include filing, recording, certification, registration fees charged by government bodies, fax charges, telephone charges, courier charges, computer research, photocopying, court reporter charges.
I can answer that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have not been charging that, and I don't plan on billing it unless it's costs that are hard costs, like deposition costs, costs where I'm going to court and paying for parking fees, costs that I have for, in order to defend lawsuits and things like that. But just my cost, I have not been charging the city. It's in my contract. I'm allowed to do it, but I have not done it. And I don't intend to do it for regular cost of copying and those kind of things. But if it's extraordinary, I do plan to bill the city for those costs that would be extraordinary to my firm.
And as an example, the court reporter that we had, or the...
Absolutely. That would be billed by the city.
That's a cost that will get billed to us?
Absolutely.
Separate. Do we know if that was the case when we had the former attorney?
Yes, we would pay those other costs, like if he brought in someone, like a court reporter for going to court cases, yeah, we would do those costs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think this contract pretty much mirrors our previous city attorney contract. I don't know if any areas where it has been some changes or drastic changes. Any additional questions? Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
No.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2019-51 passes by a majority of 4-1 vote. Now we're moving to a public hearing on ordinance 2019-02. City Attorney, could you read that into the record?
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, repealing and replacing Article 2, Section 2-26, entitled Rules of Procedure, renumbering and reordering Article 2-27 through Article 2-30, expanding established rules of procedure for City Commission meetings, providing for compensation procedures for requesting information and reporting citizen complaints, providing for public records definition, designating city clerk as custodian of records, providing for inspection of public records, establishing prohibition against removing and withholding records from custodian, providing for public hearings, providing for indemnification of municipal officers, establishing interest and administrative fees on city services, providing for settlement of claims, establishing settlement of claim procedures, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners, haven't had, I'll open this up for a public hearing first, I'm sorry. Public hearing on ordinance 2019-02. Are there anyone from the audience that wish to address or comment on this particular ordinance?
Thank you, Catherine. Doesn't matter. I can speak loud enough. Catherine Marvez. I have a huge concern with this ordinance, with the way it's written. There are several things that I'm not totally clear on. For instance, legal fees, and you just spoke about that to the city attorney about legal fees. So if anything, let me ask you a question if I can. If anything happens where one of our commissioners is, let's say, knock on wood, arrested tomorrow for doing something improper in the commission of his duties here as a commissioner, mayor, or vice mayor, is that to mean that the city, and they are removed from the position, is that to mean that the city will be paying for their legal fees in that instance, in this one instance? You said it was for things in the commission of their duties, but how far does that go? So in the commission of their duties, and I'm just going to throw this out there for an example, if there was a dereliction of duty and the commissioner finds themselves in legal water because of it and they are removed from the position, are we still going to be paying their legal fees to get them out of that for their defense after they are no longer an employee? That's one question. The next question was, I remember hearing from the city attorney how wonderful it was going to be that we citizens were going to be able to speak early on in the meetings, and we could speak about anything. Didn't matter if it was on the agenda or if it was something other on the agenda. What was neglected to say was that currently we have a total of 6 minutes, which may not be important to you, but it's important to us. So we currently have a total of 6 minutes to speak on agenda items and other items. With this new thing, we'll have 3 minutes to speak, wonderful, on whatever we want. Are you going to increase that to 6 minutes so that we are not losing those 3 precious minutes? So there's a lot wrong with this ordinance. Basically, the only thing that I saw that was decent with the ordinance is moving the responsibilities that should belong to the city clerk to the city clerk. Saying that if a commissioner, if they make a motion or they want to discuss something and that they don't get backup from the other commissioners, which we pretty much see how things vote around here, they can't bring it back for 3 months. Does anybody up there understand what bottleneck is and how that's going to make a bottleneck? Just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean that it's not something that the citizens want. So you are effectively tying your hands for what you want, for giving away all of the information or the power that you have to the city manager.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. So vote no and stop trying to stifle the commissioners and the citizens. Time up. Yes, my time is up. Yes, look. Let's have a gavel for that.
Are there any additional comments from anyone who wishes to speak on this ordinance? Hearing none, I close our public hearing on ordinance 2019-02. City Commission. Haven't heard and
So are we
have.
still voting tonight, even if we decided we wanted changes, a few changes?
No,
can't hear what she said.
The changes can be made. What I'm doing now is getting a motion in a second, and we'll call for questions. During that questioning time, any commission who wants to suggest a change in this ordinance can do so. They must have a second, and we can vote on the change that they recommend. Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the adoption or the rejection of this particular ordinance. Public hearing is closed.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I would like to offer a motion that we accept ordinance 2019-02.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of ordinance 2019-02. We out of order when we speak. Call for questions.
I have some. Do you want me to go through the whole thing just like I did before?
You can recommend whatever changes, take them one at a time. If you get a second, we'll discuss. If not, we'll move on.
Okay. On page 2, I recommend, or I make a motion. How do you want me to do this? You want me to make a motion? Okay. I make a motion that we strike paragraph C. And also in paragraph D, that we take out with no further explanation or comment.
Mayor, the city clerk has reminded me you have a motion on the floor already, correct, city clerk?
City Attorney, I
yes,
ask for
well,
a little advice on that.
The motion that's on the floor, you're in, it was seconded, and I believe it was called, did you?
didn't do the
Oh, you didn't do the vote on it. You need to vote on it and then amendments on top of that. So,
Unless she wants to amend or however.
yeah, do you want to, yeah, you're not gonna be able to go individually based on, you because you do need a vote on the motion. And then you can come back and if she gets a second for any of them, then you can
Okay.
amend and then consider the last question.
Okay. The motion on the floor is for the adoption of the ordinance. We're gonna vote up or down on that. Commissioner Bolden would have a chance at that time to make any amendments to the motion of the ordinance. If she get a second on any recommended amendments, then we can discuss and vote up or down on that. So the motion is on the floor. Are there any particular questions pertaining to the motion? Not the amendment to the motion, but the actual motion. You'll come back and have your opportunity to amend it based on the instruction from the city attorney and the clerk.
Okay, but I guess I would have probably made a motion that said we throw the whole thing out if I knew that's how we were going to do it. But I didn't because you said we were going to go line by line and do it.
This is just to get it on the floor, basically.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm saying I wasn't told correctly, so therefore I didn't make the motion. Otherwise, I would have made a motion just to throw it out, to have this thrown out. So how does that affect?
There is a motion on the floor, and you have to vote on this motion, and then you can, in order to have the discussion.
In addition to questions, hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Absolutely not.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Ordinance 2019-02 passes by a majority of 4-1 vote. I give you an opportunity at this time, Commissioner Bolden, to put forth a motion for amendment of any item you would like to have amended or consider to have amended.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that we amend ordinance number 2019-02. Now, how do you want me to do it?
You can proceed with the section you would like to have amended. If you get a second, we'll discuss it. If not, we'll move on.
Okay, I'd like to have it amended, and I'm just going to do them all in one shot,
Okay.
or you want me to do them one by one?
Mayor, they're on record for one by one from the workshop. You have an option, she can do that, or she can do it all collectively, all at once for her amendment.
Okay, I'll do them one by one. Okay,
When you
on,
say discuss, that means we can just discuss, that means that the attorney, you either give us clarity, or how does that go?
What she is going to do is go through them, and then if there's a second on any of them, then
Okay, then
you'll.
you'll just explain it, okay.
okay. So I'd like to amend the ordinance 2019-02 on page 2. I'd like to take out paragraph C. And in paragraph D, I'd like to take out with no further explanation or comment. Do you want me to do them page by page? Is that how you want me to do them?
I think-
It may be easier to follow along
Yeah.
by page. Do we have a second on any of those two recommendations for amendment? Hearing none, you can move on, Commissioner.
On page 3, I'd like to take out paragraph 2 in its entirety, paragraph 6 in its entirety, paragraph 7 in its entirety, and, oh, no, that's fine on that one. Okay.
Now, if someone's second, that means you can explain it, right? Okay, could you second? I'll second. For 2, 6, and 7, just explain.
Let me call for question. It's been moved by Commissioner Bolden and properly second by Commissioner Hill for consideration to remove
Strike.
2, 6, and 7.
Of page 3.
Page 3.
Call for question. Your question is an explanation for the city
Yes,
attorney?
I would like her to explain it in detail, just explain it.
Yes, ma'am.
It could be a short, just a.
Sure. The paragraph number 2, this actually just states that any comments or questions by the public are directed to the mayor or presiding officer. This is pretty standard. It's Robert's rules, really, and that it further states that members of the city commission shall direct all comments and questions on the subject matter being discussed to the mayor or presiding officer only, and shall not engage in cross conversations with other members of the public or direct any questions to other members of the city commission or the public. The mayor or presiding officer shall not unreasonably withhold or delay recognition of any member of the city commission desiring to speak. The mayor or presiding officer shall recognize other members of the city commission in rotation and not call on any member a second and subsequent time until such time as all members of the city commission shall have had the opportunity to speak. So it's just, you know, pretty standard Robert's rules type of, and that's really how you operate now. And this just solidifies it and memorializes it rather in this ordinance. Number 6, a member of the city commission may not reintroduce any discussion item that has failed due to lack of a second for at least 3 months after the motion failed, unless either an emergency exists and the public business requires reconsideration of the item, or a member of the city commission who was on the prevailing side of the prior vote introduces the discussion item for reconsideration. So what this does is it helps you just orderly facilitate the conduct of business and move through your business rather than rehashing issues that clearly do not have the support of the commission. And so it does have exceptions where if there's an emergency that exists that shows that there's some need for this issue to be reintroduced, or obviously if someone on the prevailing side, which is Robert's rules, brings the issue up from the prevailing side and reintroduces, then that would be allowable. But otherwise, it helps you just have a free flow of business for your commission. Number 7, a member of the city commission may not reintroduce any discussion item the majority of the city commission has determined should not be brought up as a discussion item for at least 3 months after the motion fails. So if you have a motion and it fails, and it, by a vote, you don't have that rehashing of the issue over and over again unless either an emergency exists and the public business requires reconsideration of the item, or a member of the city commission who was on the prevailing side, which again is Robert's rules, reintroduces the discussion item for reconsideration.
I have a question about that. If, as commissioners, we're not allowed to discuss anything that we're going to vote on prior to getting to this meeting, and then somebody makes a motion and nobody on the dais has heard anything about it because this is the first time it's being brought up, how, with this, if it gets turned down or somebody says, well, I'm not sure, I'd like to go home and do some research, which would probably be me, then it can't be brought back up for 3 months?
Well, it does have exceptions, and it also states, which is broad language, the public business requires reconsideration. So if there's something that is pressing in the community that's brewing, that would be a public business issue that would require reconsideration. And so it's written in a way that is broad and allows for the commission's reconsideration, but just, and you know, if there is nothing new, there's no new language, there's no emergency that exists, it does help you to move about your business by not rehashing issues that clearly there's no support for by a majority of the commission.
My thought here is that if it's something we've never heard about and then we don't have a chance to even discuss it because we didn't get a second, then I go home and I do my research and I look at it and I go, wow, that was pretty interesting and I think we probably should do that. But then now I can't bring it back for 3 months. That's 90 days. What if it's something that really makes sense? And
No,
we didn't
I-
have a chance to discuss it here.
Well, other people probably would have heard about it if it was, other commissioners probably would have heard about it. And I'm thinking under those circumstances, it would be something that would fall under this public business requires reconsideration, so.
Well, my personal thought is that if it dies, it dies. If you bring it up again and it dies, then you're probably not going to bring it up again. And so I don't see where somebody, would bring something up 15 times in a row. So what difference could it possibly make to anybody except to keep us from getting business taken care of?
Any additional comments on those particular items? I mean, personally, I could support removing the 2, 5, and, no, 6 and 7. I would agree if that item is brought up a second time, there's no second to that motion, it's gonna die. There's no discussion. So it's not going to hinder or delay a lot of time. There are some consideration where commission will reconsider some with some thought involved, but you don't. I think the purpose of this is trying to prevent an item that clearly the majority of the commission don't want to be brought up again and again because it's already been discussed. So I can personally see that being removed. That's just my personal opinion. It's up to the majority, but those two, I can live with number 2, but I can say that 6 and 7, I consider that could be deleted.
I can amend my motion to take out to leave in number 2 and just delete 6 and 7.
Okay, I second.
Any additional questions? Are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Boland,
We're voting to take out
We got-
6 and 7?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Strike out.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. So we're going to delete items 6 and 7 from this ordinance.
Okay, page 4, paragraph 9. Take that out, and paragraph, I don't know, they're kind of weird. E, that it shall end no later than 9 p.m. Any items remaining on the agenda shall be placed under old business for the next commission agenda. Delete that.
Are there a second on any of those 2 items? Hearing none, you can move on.
Page 4, unless a motion to limit debate is made and adopted, take out paragraph 2 and paragraph 3. If a member of the city commission desires to direct questions to another member of the city commission or the public, the question shall be directed to the mayor, the presiding officer, and in turn will recognize the individual who wishes to answer the specific question.
We're doing that now. That's what we're doing now. We do that now.
Okay, I'll take
Yeah,
that.
we do that now, Virginia.
Okay.
We do that now.
Page 5, number 1, 2, and 4. I, again, down at in the middle of the page, I don't know why there's 2 I's, but I, and may forthwith by the presiding officer barred from further evidence before the commission at the meeting which ejected, and L, I guess it is?
There's only one I.
Okay, well, that's number 1 up there then? That's not I?
It goes
At
to
the
a
top?
different, yeah.
Okay.
It's under, what you were talking about taking out, I'm assuming is under section G, it flows to the next page, and
1,
that
2,
is
and
Roman
4?
numeral, yeah.
Okay, the
small.
Roman numerals.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
my
you-
bad.
What you said previously was that you wanted to keep only 3, right?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So that would be a meeting that is exempt from section 286.011 Florida statutes,
Yes.
like the shade meeting we just had. And then the other things that you would want, the exceptions for an emergency situation, ministerial acts, including minutes and ceremonial proclamations. You want people to be able to speak there, I'm assuming, and then a meeting in which the commission is acting in a quasi judicial capacity.
Do we have any seconds on the recommendations to delete? Hearing none, we'll move forward.
Page 6, I'd like to add under number 3, unless due to illness or is excused by a vote of the commission. I'd like to take
Which
out.
one? Which one would you?
I'm sorry, page 6 at the top where it says, board committee members shall be removed from a board committee for missing 3 consecutive meetings or 4 total meetings during a fiscal year. And I think it should say unless due to an illness or they're excused by a vote of the commission.
Oh, okay, I second that one too.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to add unless illness or excused by commission vote.
Mayor, question, but don't we do that anyway for like when we have, if there's sick, the commission just make a, motion for?
We do it now, but I
Yeah,
guess she just
actually,
wants it
this
in
is, we
words.
haven't
said
really
add
been
it in there.
consistent.
Wanted
This
to add
is
in there, yeah.
boards, and committees, for members who missed 3 consecutive meetings.
But you remember we had commission while we made the motion to,
Not the commission right now. Board,
Board.
advisory boards, maybe it should say
Oh,
advisory
boards.
board. But we went through the problem with the, one of the boards that
Oh, okay.
we had some serious problem of attendance. So all we're doing is addressing that, and Commissioner Boland just putting a little protection that if a board member
Right.
is sick
And they can bring in a,
or
right.
by commission vote, we can excuse those absences. So we have a proper second. In additional questions,
Ms. Hill.
are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passes by unanimous vote.
Okay, also on page 6, section 2, all of section 2, and section 3. Yeah. Those are, as far as I can tell, all of that's already in our charter, and I don't think we ought to even make an ordinance that says we're going to change anything that even remotely looks like we're trying to change the charter.
Could you explain that, Attorney?
The city attorney said it wasn't in the charter. It actually isn't in the charter. What it references is that commissioners and mayors should be compensated, but it doesn't designate the actual cost until you get to the ordinance itself or the actual specific money you're being paid now. So it says in the charter that you can be compensated, but it doesn't define the actual cost until you get to the actual ordinance.
And again, through the mayor, it's not in your charter, it's in your ordinances, and what this was intended to do was to codify, that's your ordinance. It was intended to, when it's codified, to have everything in one area under rules of procedure. And so this is one of those things that you would normally have in rules of procedure.
City Attorney, my question is, even if this is stricken out, that don't mean it couldn't be as a document included in the rules and procedure. We're just not voting on this particular item because it's there somewhere there already.
It's not, it helps you to keep it in one place.
No, I'm
for
not saying you
purposes.
can't, I'm saying, just for instance, we take it out, we don't even vote on it.
It's still, yeah.
You could
it's still
add
has
that to the rules and procedure as a reference or guide to what
No,
we're doing?
it would be in a different section once they codify it. And so in order to pull everything together, it was done strategically so that everything would be under rules of procedure and you would have it all in one place. So you don't have, when you send it to MuniCode, you don't have one section here and then something else. It's just all going to be under rules of procedure, and that's just one other item that will flow under this section.
Okay, do we have a second or not?
I mean, it's right there. I think it's fine like this. It's just for her to, us to codify that everything's right here, and I see it from word to word.
Okay, we'll move forward. We don't have a second to delete it completely out.
Page 7, section 4. This also, I guess, is in the charter, although I'm being
No,
told
this
it's
is-
not.
this is not.
But this, if we're going to adopt this, then I'd say we need to add back in that the city commissioners have an opportunity to have comments.
You
It's all
have,
for the good of the order.
For the good of the auditor, it's not commission comments.
Yes.
Okay,
Wouldn't
so-
that be another way of saying?
Well, the way that this would read is, what you all are doing right now is at the end of your meeting, you have a whole nother meeting. You bring up issues and it just, I mean, and so it's not an efficient way that you could run meetings. And so what this would do is if you have, as we talked about in other meetings, if you have future agenda items, you bring it up so that your manager can prepare, he can prepare his staff, and then at the next meeting, if it gets a majority vote, then the issue comes up, it's fully vetted, it's on as an item on your agenda. So it is there as an item, but you have to bring it up in a meeting preceding that meeting. So the comments that you get as commissioners, and you would have, and this is done in a lot of cities, it's not something that's, foreign or whatever to cities, you would have good of the order comments at the end, and they're not, going into, Mr. Manager, I told you to do whatever. It would be things that are good of the order. The turkey run is taking place, and we're having the Veterans Day, parade, and we're having and don't forget to come to the chamber event, things like that. They're good of the order, feel-good events, so that you leave your meeting on a high note rather than, having another meeting and it goes unwielding in different areas that your manager has no way to really help you because it's kind of a surprise item that ends up being on your agenda with no order. And so this is really intended to try to give more structure to your meetings and allow staff to adequately prepare and to be able to, so when you have an item at the end of your meeting where everybody agrees, and I'll be quiet in a second, but everybody agrees that this is an item we want the manager to report on, he has time to prepare and bring back the item so that you can have a productive discussion on.
But the city manager sets the agenda, so if he doesn't put it back on the agenda, then it'll never come back out.
He has to. He doesn't have a choice. That's what this ordinance is. He has to. And so if you all vote, and this is a future agenda item, and that the city clerk will record the future agenda items that are voted and approved, and that issue has to come back up if it has 3 votes at the very next commission meeting.
Can we add the, where it has community events, feel-good announcements, commissioner comments? Can we just kind of add that in there?
Well, if you add it in there, it's just going to bring you right back to
Oh,
where
right
you are
back
right
to
now.
Okay.
But it's worked that way for how many years, and then all of a sudden now you're here and we're not allowed to comment.
Well,
And we're not allowed to
it
do
is
this.
you who
You
gonna
wrote
vote
this,
on
so
it.
you're
Right.
trying to make sure that we're not able to say what needs to be said, whether anybody here likes it or not.
Well, these are things for
Certain things
you all.
need to be said by the commission.
This is for you all to consider, so I don't vote. I don't have a vote. This is for you all.
But you
to
wrote
consider.
this.
But you are considering, you're going to vote on it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think that's what's going on.
before any in-depth discussion, do we have a second on deleting this item, section 4? Hearing none, we move on.
On page 8, no, you answered that one, never mind. Page 9, I'd like to see all of section 13 deleted. And 10, whatever it runs until it gets to section 14. This is,
Do we have a second? Hearing none, we move.
Mayor, I don't have a vote, but that word "or personal," which was discussed earlier, I think I need a little bit more clarity on that myself when it says "or personal," because I think it was intended for official capacity.
It is. But what you all can, if you wanted to consider that, you could replace that word personal so it's clear, but it would be individual capacity. So, but that's what the courts would recognize it as. It's not intended to be about their personal. It clearly says that it's official, involving official business. But just to make very, very clear, and I hear you, Mr. Manager, we could insert the word rather than personal, individual capacity. I don't see, what page are you on right now? What page are you on?
This is 9, correct, Commissioner Boland, or 10? Because they're not.
Okay, yeah, I see it, under indemnification. So it would read, whenever in the performance of or in connection with the performance of official duties on behalf of the city, an official has been involved or has, or shall hereafter be involved in a dispute, proceeding, or litigation, either in a representative or individual capacity. And so the word personal would be individual capacity. Because people are sued in their individual capacities, which is also the same thing. But if you all are amenable to that, that would be a change we could make.
Yeah, because I think that's better. I think that's been a sticking point here tonight, that word, about how you're going about your official business. If you go about some personal business and you get in trouble, that you're supposed to be defended, and that's not what this reads, but that's how it reads.
We'll be consistent, just changing of the wording in there. Could we get a motion that that's acceptable to do?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to offer a motion that it reflects individual capacity versus personal.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin to change the word from personally to individually. Call for question. Hearing none, are you ready for the vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, motion passes by unanimous vote.
Page 12. One, two, three.
That's page 12.
Do we have a second on those three items, 1, 2, and 3, page 12?
Can we have that explained a little more?
Yes.
Please.
Yes, ma'am. And in this case, this is where there are settlements of claims, like things that have to do with, in favor of the city. So it would be in those instances where municipal property has been damaged or municipal employees have been injured due to the actions of third parties, and municipal funds have been or will be expended for property repairs and medical cost recovery shall be sought as follows. So you're giving your city manager some discretionary authority to work along with me to evaluate the claims and to secure full reimbursement for the city. And so if the claim is under $5,000, there are certain things he has to do and has the authority to do, but if it's over $5,000, then it has to come before the city commission and be presented to the insurance carrier or whatever it would require under that paragraph 3 there. So this just gives, it gives some authority, and this is only in certain cases. It's not where not where the city is liable, but where there's liability. Somebody hits a fence or, something like that, and they want to pay and resolve it with the manager. He can do a release and try to get the money back without it having to go through a formal process of it coming before the city commission.
We actually do that now, Mayor.
So, but if it were something more, for instance, if it's $5,000, which is something more significant, then you all would know about it. But if it's less than that, then the manager is handling it.
Public Works has been on the street, they've damaged something, someone's property or something like that, and we paid to repair it. And as this attorney is saying, if it's something exuberant cost, of course, we have to bring it to the commission and city attorney and our liability, but.
I think the only thing that I would recommend is that the city commission at the next regular commission is notified of the claim amount paid, regardless of the amount, but we can give the city manager authority to settle those claims less than $5,000, but we certainly need to be informed that it occurred.
Okay. So what we can do, Mr. Mayor, through the mayor, there's going to be a renumber for, it says 4-4, so that will be 5. So this would be 6, item number 6 at the bottom of this, and then it will have a provision that the city commission shall be notified at the next regular meeting of the incident.
Okay.
And the amount of claim paid.
Okay.
We need to be aware of that. Okay. Any additional questions? Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
We didn't have a second or anything on anything. We didn't have a second or a motion.
Okay.
What happened?
I won't make the motion, but I was just recommending that allow the city manager to.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, can we add an addendum to the statement to say, still allow the city manager authority to work along with the city attorney, but apprise the commission regardless of the amount at the next commission meeting?
A second.
Been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill for the additional language to be added. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Motion passes by unanimous vote. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, clerk. Document passes with the added changes, deletions. Okay. Now we'll move to presentations. Employee of the quarter, city manager at least wanted to acknowledge the employee of the quarter, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. We do 4 employees of the quarter, and of course, those 4, then out of that 4, someone selected, excuse me, someone selected as the employee of the year, which is honored at the Commission Chamber Awards every year. This quarter, we're running about a month and a half behind. The first quarter of this year, New Year, was the employee selected was Jacqueline Ramsey. Ms. Ramsey is the HR manager here in the city of Pahokee. She's been in that position for about 2 years now. During that time, she's done a lot of additional extended training outside the office to improve her skill sets in that department. She's done a really great job of coming in and reorganizing that department over the last year and a half. There's a lot of things that we were hit and missing on as far as OSHA is concerned, how to protect ourselves in liabilities for as public works. There are a lot of practices that we should have been doing and wasn't, at least not fully, until she came aboard to make us aware of how to, one, reduce our liability insurance, and in an ongoing manner, how to protect ourselves for any type of risk. We've done it so well that just recently, through the application of allowing some of the departments to go through ongoing risk management training, be it OSHA training, online training, with a lot specifically with those who deal with equipment. That, believe it or not, those guys do online trainings on their downtime. So when it's raining outside a lot, they're inside actually doing some type of remedial training on risk and liability. But by doing that, she records it and turns it into our liability company. And this year, we were successful in getting back about $5,000. They came out and they awarded a check to the city of Pahokee for just bringing those types of programs to the city under human resources. So, always said, the value of an employee is determined on what they can give back. And, $5,000 is, not a lot of money, but it's $5,000 that goes back into the city of Pahokee for ensuring that we are adhering to a lot of the OSHA and risk management techniques when we are, be it, parts and recs of public works. So even in City Hall, you can get injured. So she's worked very hard, and she's a value to the city of Pahokee, like all the employees are. But she specifically stood out this quarter for bringing, awareness to risk and liability and getting some money back to the city of Pahokee. So employee of the year is, employee of the quarter is Jacqueline Ramsey.
Congratulations.
And hopefully she'll be at the next commission meeting, because she does get a monetary award as well. And it'll probably be time to bring in the second quarter employees, so we'll probably be doing 2 at the next commission meeting before our Christmas holidays get here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. Now we will move into, we already have done the line of the month. We'll move into the mayor's report. We had our Veteran Day program Friday. I know there are some complaints, as usual, on Facebook and other social media about it. And we basically do the same thing as commissioners. Even the NFL, those are professional athletes, but they call it Monday morning quarterbacking. You critique the quarterback and the players of how they played the game. But we look at events that we host, especially our signature events, and see how we can improve on those next year. I know someone mentioned it could have, should have been on Veteran Day, Monday. That could be true. The time that it was hosted, but we're looking at all of those things to help improve our program. But it was a good event. We recognized that 10 veterans that lived or have lived in our city or continue to live in our city. So next year, hopefully, it will be a bigger and even better event. When I first ran for mayor, my theme was unity in the community. We as citizens need to come together in unity and work towards a better Pahokee. It's some division in our community. You can say it's not along racial or ethnic lines. A lot of times the comments that are made are along those lines. When I was a commissioner, I introduced the Community Relation Board because of the tension in our community. And now 10 years later, is still there. It even getting heightened from 10 years ago. So there's a problem. I'm not saying there's a problem with individuals, just as a whole, we got to come together and work together to bring our community forward progress. Lastly, what I'm gonna say, I was very disappointed when I read the Okeechobee News last week after sitting here and bending over backwards for the company that possibly will be running our marina, campground, and restaurant. The individual side here and say that one individual wasn't a partner to that company, wasn't really associated with the company. And then when I opened up the paper, the individuals here all over as a partner in making derogatory comments. And that didn't bother me so much, the criticism, but the thought that we was told some untruth here. So as mayor, I'm not changing any position or changing commissioner thoughts, but I totally withdraw my support from this company doing business. There have been NBA owners who have lost their team for saying less racial tension, and this just hadn't happened yesterday. We addressed this issue a long time ago, and it's almost like a slap in the face saying, you don't tell us who we can associate with and who can be our partners. But when there's public property at stake and that individual can benefit from it, I'm not supporting it anymore. You can put that on record. I withdraw my report from that agency, from that individual, from that company, and I don't support it no more. End of my report. And we'll move to the city manager report.
Excuse me, how does it work now? We just passed an ordinance that says we have to end at 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock.
That ordinance don't take effect to the next meeting.
Okay, just checking. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything to report tonight, working on some things, and I'll bring it back to the next commission meeting on some old business that are just out there pending, on some things that we need to make decisions on before the end of the year. Some may run into the new year, not sure yet. I really want to talk about our Parks and Recreational program, specifically our 2019 football teams that we had this year. This is the first year that we played on a new field. We're going to recognize them, Mayor, first weekend, I think, in December. But our seasons, they had great seasons. Our 8 and under, they went 9-0 in the division. They were 12-1. They lost one game. That was last weekend in Winter Haven. So they were one game away from going to the championship in Tampa. We were sadly disappointed, but they were great this year. They had an excellent coach. Coach Clairvan was actually nominated for Coach of the Year for Mid-Florida. So that tells you how good that team was and how well they were coached and disciplined out on the field. The 8 and under, they were the Mid-Florida regional champs. They were the runner-up in the semifinal game, of course. And they were also the Tri-City Football League district champions. That's the 8 and under. The 10 and under were 7-2. They were the Tri-City champions, and they were the runner-up in the Mid-Florida region. The 12 and under finished 6-3, and they were second place in the Tri-City district. The 14 and under, not so good this year. They were 2-5. But the residual things about the season was that they had over 110 kids registered, had 15 cheerleaders. They were voted. The city of Pahokee's football field was voted
the best football field in the Mid-Florida region. They're also voted the best concession food stand in the South region. Average home games average over 350 people per game. Can't wait to get the seating out there, hopefully, for next year. They traveled to Winter Haven, they traveled to Frostproof, they traveled to Okeechobee, they traveled to Indiantown, they traveled to Lakeland. We had over 50 volunteers this year as well with the teams. So that shows the community support that we have for football in this city, in this community. But I can't say enough about the volunteer coaches, you know, the staff that, you know, give her their time, the parents who came out and supported their kids, who stayed out there to, you know, and traveled with the team as well. It was really a great year for all of these teams. We're looking to expand on that for next year. Right now, we're going into flag football for the next two and a half months. We're going into basketball, of course. We're going into our winter sports. But the football season was just absolutely excellent this year. Would have loved to go into Tampa this weekend and played in the championship. But it speaks to the quality of types of players that Pahokee produces. And it appears that that hasn't changed whatsoever, and not going to change for a long time. Pahokee produces some of the greatest, you know, sports players that we've seen, you know, on the national stage that come right from here in Pahokee. And it starts, that ground roots starts right here on that city football field. So we're very excited about what they achieved this year and what we expect to do next year. Again, we're going to recognize all of the teams. I think the recognition ceremony or the banquet is December 7th. Don't have a time yet, but that's a Saturday. But we're going to bring them in here as well and recognize them officially by the commission and the city, because it's well deserving of what they've achieved this year.
Thank you, sir.
That's it, Mayor.
Thank you. And while we're on football, I would like to consider having one of the commission motion that we provide a proclamation to Pahokee High School football team for being the 2019 Muck Bowl champion. And hopefully we'll have a separate celebration during the state championship that they're going to bring home.
Should we go ahead and proclaim that they are state champion?
Hopefully.
I make a motion that we do a proclamation to Pahokee High School in recognition of them being 2019 Muck Bowl champions.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Bolden and second by Commissioner Everett to present a proclamation to the Pahokee High School football team for being the 2019 Muck Bowl champions. Call for question. Hearing none. Roll call. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes unanimous. Now we'll move to the city attorney report.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Old business, we have one voice for the community. Presentation, comments.
Good evening, Commissioners. Due to the lateness of the hour-and-a-half curfew, one question now. It was voted at the last meeting for the town hall meeting. I have one question. What happened? What happened?
I reached out to those entities that the group requested to have a town hall meeting. They did not provide back a date where they wanted to meet. They also went back and met with some of those community leaders and began an additional discussion that was going on. I indicated what the request was to PVSO, and they've been doing a lot of due diligence by meeting some of the clergy and additional individuals, and that's where we stand today. So they haven't provided me a date back that they wanted to meet in a town hall.
Mr. Williamson, do you recall the conversation I had with you last week?
Yeah, you said you received a call from a PVSO officer, and he wanted to meet with you directly, and you specifically said you would prefer to have that conversation in public. I remember.
The thing is this, you verified the amount of money that we pay them per year tonight. The community need and must have a town hall meeting. We need to set a date and invite them. They've had an opportunity 2 weeks, but yet they want to hold me behind closed doors. I'm not the one. We're going to have it public. The incident happened in the public. We're going to deal with it in the public. I refuse to have a private meeting behind closed doors with anyone. So let that be known. Let that be known. And we're not going to keep accepting excuses. This to the whole diocese. We will not continue to accept excuses. That's not acceptable. So let it be known tonight, we want to have a meeting before the next city council meeting.
I'll
Set the date.
I'll reach back out to them again, because we're having a conversation about a external entity, not the city of Pahokee. So if you're gonna have that
Wait,
conversation, you need
say
some.
that again? I didn't understand.
You wanna have a conversation about an external entity, not the city of Pahokee, but those representatives have to be at the table. We can't make them be at the table.
You just stated they was having me with private individuals.
No, I didn't say private individuals.
You
I
said
they were meeting
clergymen.
with. I said they were meeting with clergymen, they were meeting with community leaders, they were meeting with a
Wait,
lot
time.
of folks. They never said they didn't want to have a public meeting. They were just doing their due diligence, but they haven't provided me any response back for a town hall meeting, and I did request that was the request.
Listen, Mayor, I'm speaking to you being the spokesman for this city. We need a town hall meeting, and the kicking the can down the road, do not get it. Do not get it. You all agreed as far as having a town hall meeting because of the urgency of the matter. And we're not going anywhere. And we're not going to accept trying to have a closed door meeting. It's not going to happen. Because I have a curfew, I'm going to respect the time this evening, but I salute you for what you just stated. And things like that should always be stated. Deal with the truth, deal with circumstances such as they present themselves. And I salute you for what you just stated in reference to the matter of dealing with that dike. Thank you.
Mayor, I'll go back to PVSO and, again, make a request for what was stated here tonight.
It's on you, Mayor. I'm letting you know.
Okay. Now we'll move to, we have no new business. We'll move to citizen comments and general concerns. City clerk at this time to have any comments card completed.
Yes, the first one is the person whose last name is Freeman. I can't make out the first name. Joe Freeman.
Good evening. My name is Joe Freeman. I stay at 510 Pahokee Circle. And my concern is the over-policing in Pahokee. I was in Canal Point when Donald Trump came down there. I was down there fishing. We had more police during the homecoming game than I seen for Donald Trump. And I don't see, I gotta get over my ordinance, because they say we got an ordinance for not being through the air, uptown. I call it the air. I don't see why when our families come down for homecoming or the Muck Bowl, we can't come down through there. We've been doing since the 70s and socialize. Like you say, we need to come together as a family. I know a lot of y'all ain't got no young kids that come down there. I don't hang out, but I know right from wrong. And I don't know what the big problem that people can't come down doing homecoming, the Muck Bowl, and socialize. So that's my concern downtown. And I don't know what all of them, I'm gonna try to look it up, because everybody going by the ordinance, proper procedure and everything, so I'm gonna try to come look the ordinance up myself. But my concern is, during homecoming, I seen more police downtown on every corner. And they they was glad, they was happy. Like they were getting a kick out of just keeping people coming up through there, everybody to go out the screen line. Like I said, I don't hang out. But I know young kids, I'm looking out for the youth. The lights on the church out there don't work no more. We ain't got nothing for the youth, we ain't got nothing for the kids to do. So that's my concern, and I wish y'all consider that, just on homecoming in the Muck Bowl, because Belglade, they coming together as a family. They had one of the biggest block, they have more shooting than we do. In Belglade, they still come together as a city, as a unit. The biggest block party, the biggest park party, they coming together. Like I said, Mayor, I hope y'all consider that. Like I said, on homecoming, they were ridiculous. We couldn't even celebrate a football game. That's all I got to say. Thank y'all.
Thank you. In addition to cards.
Yes, sir. The next one is from Ms. Sanquetta Cowan.
Sanquetta Cowan and Kirkpatrick. I'm at 1548 Singletary Avenue. I have just one concern, and it's not a question that the commission have to answer now. Maybe you can get some research for me. I'm from Pahokee, and I love Pahokee. And I just have one question. When the city manager was talking at the last meeting, and I know he said, kind of don't worry about it. He's trying to get it taken care of. When he said FEMA was going to come back, and they want us to pay money back, I just have a couple of questions. I would like to know, and if you all can report that at the next meeting, how much money did FEMA give us? What did they give us the money for? And if it was to fix the old city hall, why wasn't the old city hall fixed? And what happened with the money? What happened with the money? And my concern is, should the city be paying this money back? Can they investigate to see what happened to the money? Where did the money go? How was the money spent? I just don't think the city should be responsible for having to pay money back for if they didn't spend, if the money was not spent on the city. So if you all could do that for me at the next meeting and provide me with that information, I would appreciate it. Because again, I'm a taxpayer. I own a home here, and I don't want to pay. I don't want to keep paying for things that not being paid for by the city.
I just want to add on to the reference of our police officers. I'm one of those ones that had an opportunity to meet with Lieutenant Piccolo and quite a few other officers. I went down to his office and we were able to have good dialogue about what's going on in our city. And I want to say to Mr. Joe that they're not saying that we can't. There's just certain ordinance that they have to enforce. But he led me to believe, Lieutenant Piccolo said that, Kirk, we're trying to build our relationship back into this community. The actions that took place in this community, he said, I dealt with that. And that individual has been removed from this area. And he has some things going on that he told me, say, he can't talk about it. But he was very open with me about making our city better. He even wants to come in and help us do certain things, activities in our community to get a better relationship with our people. Now, I don't see, now, and everybody has their own opinion and everybody can speak for themselves. I'm a part of One Voice. But now I'm just saying, before we can come to a town hall meeting, I think we ought to go and meet with them. And we sit down and reason together about what needs to be done for our city. But the information that I got from him and quite a few other officers is that he
Keep going.
Mr. Mayor, can I have another?
Finish your comment.
I'm just simply saying that the incident that happened in our town,
Yeah, with two of them,
unfortunately,
Sam.
it didn't happen, it didn't go right. I agree with that. I saw the film for myself. But for me talking with him and him giving me a tour of this whole entire place and what he wants to do to build a better relationship, you know, and then people also made statements about him being prejudiced. Well, that wasn't the pictures that I saw in his office. He sent me some personal pictures of him and after hours of things that who he hangs out with. So he wants the best. He said he came in 5 years ago. He said to me, he said, Kirk, he said, I've reached out to Carl Morrison. He said, I haven't had any call back on what can we sit down and get this resolved so that we can so we can come out and the kids can come out and have a wonderful time on the corner. Now, some people are going to disagree with that, but I stand alone when I talk. I don't need any support with that. Because right is right. Everybody deserves an opportunity. And he wants to come into our city and help make things better. That incident that happened, he has addressed that. He's not hiding from that. And he is in support of that, what happened. He has admitted to me some things that took place. I think the town hall meeting should be amongst ourselves. That's what my opinion is of it. And I want to thank you, Mayor, for giving me this opportunity to talk about it. But I am a part of it. If they wish to put me out, that's fine with me, but I stand alone on that. Thank you.
Any additional comments, Carl? Thank you, ma'am.
No, sir.
Now we'll move to the correspondence, comments, and concern of the city commissioners. And we'll start with Commissioner Hill.
No, just want to tell everyone good night. I know it's so long, everybody tired.
I'm gonna say this, I got to go to Orlando tonight, 3.5 hour drive to be at a meeting at 8. So we're hoping. Commissioner Bolden.
I said that before I started, right? No. I just wanted to say that I also attended a meeting with Lieutenant Piccolo, and he gave me a copy of this magazine that is printed, and it's Tri-City Community Outreach for Belglade, Pahokee, and South Bay. And if you get an opportunity, and I have this digitally, so if anybody would like to have it, and I know Lieutenant has it that way as well, it has a lot of things about the Explorer program, just summer camp, what they did with the kids all summer long. And it's just chock full of information about things that they are doing in our community. And so I agree with what Mr. Kirkpatrick said, that we do need to talk to them, and we do need to partner with them and see how we can, this is foundation scholarships, this line across here, all the scholarships that they gave away to our kids. So I think it's like anything, we have to talk, we have to discuss, and he gave me a tour of their new facility down there, and it's very nice. He answered any questions I had, and he told me that anyone that would like to speak to him, he would be more than happy to speak to them and let them know, you know, what they're trying to do in the community. I just have one more quick comment, and then I promise I won't hold everybody up tonight. I'm sorry that 2019 did not get taken out. I hope that it does not keep us from having a great commission meeting and from the commissioners doing their job in the future. Thank you. Good night.
Commissioner Everett.
Mayor, point of order for, we have the Christmas parade coming up, and I know the chamber oversees that event, and I'm sure they're waiting on those applications to get in because they need to have a count sooner than later. And in addition to that, we also got the MLK parade and extravaganza that's coming up in January. We need you to come by City Hall and get those applications if you plan to be in either one of those parades or both of them. We need as much participation in both of those events this year as possible to make them really successful.
Yes,
And
I
think
did,
you can pick
I
up
did
the
have that
applic-
on my comments, and I forgot it.
I think
The
you-
parade is,
yeah.
if I could just interrupt
Go
you
ahead.
for
No,
1
go ahead, I'm
second.
done.
The parade is December 9th and at 6 o'clock, so please, we'll line up about 4:30 down in front of the schools. And you know Mr. Pope, he will step it off at 6:01, so please don't be late. Please come out and participate. It's really a lot of fun, and with Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus and all the kids coming out to see all the floats. And since we did put the judges there in front of the chamber this year, we're hoping to have food, and there'll be entertainment and things going on downtown. So please, everybody, come out and enjoy the annual holiday parade.
Commissioner Bowling, can they get the applications from your office?
Yes, sir. They can get it from my office, stop in, or you can call me at.
And we'll have them in City Hall too, if you give us some copies.
Yes, sir, I will. I'll make sure.
Thank you. Commissioner Everett, I want to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah.
Say it again. Thank you, sir.
Beautiful day today.
Vice Mayor Mervin. Oh, boy, I'm dreaming. Good night. Meeting adjourned.